Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of uh, Creating a New World. I'm your host, Bill Hunsiker, and I'd like to welcome our panelists for this show. First of all, we have Larry Johnson. Welcome to the show, Larry.
Good morning, Bill. I'm glad to be here.
Next, we have Bob McCaffrey. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Good morning, and welcome, everybody.
And we also have Sage Katakura.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys. It's good to be back.
And this show is a show about a world that you can help create, and we talk about the show, talk about this world on the show, and we always start off with because of the world we're talking about is called the 12 Visions world. We start the show off with a reading of the 12 Visions. Would anyone like to read the 12 Visions?
I'd love to. And 12 Visions. Vision number 1, become the person you were meant to be. Vision 2, live the life you were meant to live. Vision 3, feel extraordinary every day. Vision 4, slow down aging permanently. Vision 5, land the job of your dreams. Vision 6, build the business of your passions. Vision 7, experience the love of your life. Vision 8, have the body you always envied. Vision 9, become a genius of society. And Vision 10, have everything you ever wanted via the free to soar geniuses and super technologies. And then Vision 11, ride a prosperity wave to riches via falling prices and soaring buying power. Vision 12, enjoy nearly perfect health via soaring medical technologies and falling prices.
Thank you, Sage. That, as always, that sounds wonderful. That describes a world that I like to call a world of wealth, health, peace, love, and prosperity. And it's a world that I want to create, and I hope we can all get together and create together. Today we're going to talk about the news and how the difference between the news as we see it today, which is called the news media, and the news that how the news will be in the 12 Visions world. Today, as we know, the news has, over the past 30 years or so, developed into a commercial enterprise and has basically become entertainment, as we all know. And therefore, there are two reasons I see that as a problem. First of all, they're more interested in pleasing the audience and getting ratings than they are in reporting, the actual reality as it is. And also, their sponsors tend to have an influence on what they will report and won't report. So, that's the problem I see with the news the way it is today. In the 12 Visions world, the news will be directed by honesty and reality, and as a consequence, it will be mostly good news, because in the 12 Visions world, what there will be to report about will be breakthroughs in technology, improvements in life, and all the wonderful things that are going on in the 12 Visions world, and and how life is getting better and better because we're all working together and cooperating, and won't be filled with news, with stories of people getting hurt and killed and things being destroyed and bad things happening.
That's and I like to think of it, Bill, as like the natural results of the 12 Visions world in place. You'll have all the freedom from the news media still to produce news, but the demand will want the factual news, the objective news, and I think the benefits of the high standard of living from low falling prices would just create people so that they are not so dependent on. I mean, I think more values, more services will come out, and the I think it'll give it less of a maybe it'll give it less of a reliance on the entertainment factor of the news side. But you'll have more news channels coming out, also more competition, rather than these big conglomerates that can control it too. So, just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have? Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, when you speak of the media in the world we live in now, you're looking at somebody's opinion, whether it's in a broadcast or whether it's in a newspaper, and there is no rational approach coming from people they think that's the gospel, that is the truth, that is real. And a lot of times people do not be able to separate facts from somebody's opinion. And so it has a heavy influence on the society we now live in, where it becomes irrational, where people look at these heinous crimes that are being committed within our community. That's all you hear about. You hear very little about creativity unless you're locked into something that is about creating something good or living a good life. You very rarely pick up the paper and say, so-and-so just discovered, an anti-gravity car, that is exciting, and moving forward with that. No, that's in the world we want to create. All we hear about now is how we are destroying ourselves. However we are participating in that, and that's very bothersome, because we constantly creating that in our mind. We constantly, it reverberates throughout the whole society in the course of a day when a newspaper comes out. So that means everybody is vibrating that there. Yeah, man, did you see what happened in this here, that there? Rather than creating something different. So the media we have now is there to just influence you, to have you think a certain way. And there is a distortion of what's real and what's reality.
It's all about the drama that goes on in life also. Anything that goes on, it's causing problems or creating problems. It's all being shown on the news, and it's unfortunately teaching our children how to do things that they shouldn't be doing. I mean, it's visible to them all the time, and it's a shame, that everything on the news is the war started here, somebody killed somebody here, somebody's been going to trial for this, somebody did this, and it's crazy. And even a lot of the movies in that, it even goes to the kids' cartoons. There's certain cartoons that I won't even let the kids watch at the house, because it's all about fighting and creating problems and creating havoc. It's unreal.
Yeah. Also, in a way, we see a preview of the news in the 12 Visions world on the internet, because I think basically the news is going to go from what it is now, which is basically something that's owned and packaged and produced by, as Sage mentioned earlier, huge companies, to being owned and produced by everyone. That, basically everyone's going to see what's going on around them and then just report it. And people, who who are connected to that person will see what they are reporting, and then spread it to other people, and that'll be the news, rather than some big huge company that packages it, produces it, and
Yeah.
makes it a certain way, for all of us.
Well, I think technology is even now changing that.
Right.
Because now that technology has got down to the point where you can capture almost in real time situations and have it reflect across the globe, where it lessens somebody's distorting it based on what they see. And and even then there's people gonna even watch that and look at it from a different angle, and based on their own the way they was brought up, or the way they was conditioned, still gonna have a different perspective of that when they're looking at it, because they're not gonna all be looking at it from the same angle. They're gonna have but it do give you a chance to see what really goes down in a lot of situations with technology, which is so important, that's driving everything, to the point where you normally wouldn't be able to see things other than before, until a wagon train, a wagon or a coach came with a horse and brought you the news. Then it went from there to, speeded it up, with the Pony Express, bringing you the mail and the news, and then it went from that to, cars and transportation. So technology is driving it, where we can more or less tap into the information and see it much quicker.
Yeah.
And almost in real time.
I agree. It's almost instantaneous now. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing something on the news this morning where a couple of U.S. Servicemen were on a train over in Europe, and there was an assailant was going to take and kill a lot of people, and these servicemen attacked the individual and stopped them, and because of their actions, a couple of them were hurt. One of the soldiers was one of the military people was sent to the hospital with some injuries to his hand and that. But other than that, nobody was seriously hurt, and they did prevent a lot of people from being killed. And I thought that was a very good thing, and they were highlighting a couple of U.S. heroes that were on their vacation having a good time and saw this thing happening, and they put a stop to it. And I praise them for their courage.
Wow.
Yeah, another aspect of the news today is the influence of government on the news. I mean, basically, we have hordes of reporters in Washington, just so that the president can tell them what reality is, basically.
Yes, right.
And then they don't question it; they just report it as reality. The president said this, so it's real.
It keeps it. It gives it some validity, and so many people are seeing it on the TV. So, marketing. One key aspect of marketing is the more you see it, the more you accept it. As reality, and that's what they do a lot.
Yep.
It's crazy. And yeah, what do they have? What is President Obama really? How can he tell me what exists more than I can believe him, or I can do my own due diligence and take responsibility for what's really going on and see if it affects my life to adjust my life, but it's in my control.
Yeah, and we've all been brought up to believe that government is good, and that and government is there to protect us, and we should believe what we're told. And that's unfortunate, because unfortunately government is composed of real people, real flawed people, some of which are dishonest and have an agenda that they're pushing, rather than basically just reflecting reality.
Our founding fathers even knew that early on, and they said way back when, and you'll find it through history, those to they were trying to point out that it's an illusion, or be careful of the authorities. Always question. And George Washington, I have a quote of things on my wall, and it says, government is like a fire, and it has to be carefully controlled and shrunk down. Otherwise, it goes out of control. And those are the types of people that it's not new. We're seeing it now, hopefully more, and I'm so encouraged because I'm seeing it more through this show and through other things. But it's question the authority, question those so-called leaders, that are have all that power, or so they seem to have all this power.
The good news is there is a lot of self-leaders that are rising up.
Right.
Who do not bow down to the kind of accepted authority at any level, but independently thinking for themselves and being analytical in their approach, and not being, seeing through those illusions. That's what they are. Those are illusions that's created. It's done in government, it's done in business. It's done in every TV show you ever watch.
Yeah.
It's like programming people to really stay in control of them through the whole media thing, and when you watch a program, or a movie, it's always a misdirection, to have you think this is not really what it is. Whether it's a relationship between a man and a woman, it's always said in a misdirected way. And it's done in comedy all the time on the TV, where it's dishonesty at its utmost. You never hear anybody. The only thing you ever hear them talk about is the truth, but nobody talks about honesty, being honest. Which to me is paramount to telling the truth, but then at the same time let people independently make their own judgment, their own decision. And that's why being a self-leader is so important for the future and for the survival of the country. In the 12 Visions world, you would have millions of self-leaders who would be able to make their own decision in all aspects of their life, whether it's in business, whether it's in family, and that's not chaos. See, that's what people think. It would be chaos, and it will not be. Oh, you need government because people will be out of control and people be running in the streets. And that's not true. The same way when they said, oh man, if you legalize liquor, people gonna be killing each other, and everybody be drunk, and the whole world will be drunk. And that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
They legalized it. You understand what I'm saying? Those who want to drink, drink. Those who don't. And it ain't no big chaos. The same thing with this drugs. Oh, you can't legalize the drugs. No, it needs cleaned up, because then those who use drugs are going to use them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you'll save more lives by people not being killed by it.
Yep. The way I like to say it is that we can accomplish much, much more by cooperating than by coercion and control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And one good thing with the instant news that we see today, which I also saw this morning, the tragedy that's going on out in the West in California with the brush fires and the fires that are destroying people's homes and destroying people. The good news that comes out of that is because of that news being spread around the world, there are people from around the world that are volunteering and coming to fight those fires. The people of California and the authorities are asking for assistance because they need volunteers. And the people are coming from as far away as Australia to come to help fight these fires. So that's really amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to the next segment of the show. which is where's the force? The topic for today is money. Larry, where's the force?
The force is in those who take money and use it for coercion. They use money to manipulate society, to buy off different people, either for illegal reasons, and the force is where you are. Sometime you heard the saying, make him a choice. How's it goes? Make him a choice you can't refuse. No, you should have it right there. That's like force straight up.
Yeah, that is.
Like that's make you an offer you can't refuse. What do you mean you can't refuse? That's initiatory force.
Mm-hmm.
You should have a right to say no and not be fearful for your life or fearful that your income or your job will be destroyed, and that's what happens. People get destroyed by society because that force is there to say if you don't do this, and it runs throughout all the regulations and litigations in society that says if you don't do this and you go against this, then your whole life can be altered to the point where you cannot even exist, and even to the point where you could be thrown and confined and locked up. I mean, we've seen it where great leaders have been confined just to their house, through force, where they can't even come out. We had a situation where the woman who came back with this, I think that flu that was going around, and she was forced to stay in New Jersey. She couldn't go home to Connecticut. That's initiatory force. That should never, ever happen to people. Unless there's a situation which we believe in the prime law that's going to jeopardize everybody's life, then force becomes something that is good for society in order to save society.
Thank you, Larry. Sage, where's the force?
I look at an aspect of force from the Federal Reserve System and how you have these people that can alter the currency based on opinions, and all of us are forced to. We don't get a direct vote or anything, or there's no protection against non-force on the public on the currency, which when we were on the gold standard, there was an objective value intrinsically in the amount of gold that was available and the amount of money that was available, and that ensures the value remains based on something and non-adjusted by emotions. And I think the Federal Reserve System, the government forcefully, and ultimately we can take responsibility. We let them do it, but they went off the gold standard, and they have the Federal Reserve System that can decide. They can inflate the money or deflate the money. They can raise interest rates, lower interest rates, and that affects a lot of things. That force there creates a lot of inefficiencies in the marketplace, and it's all done under the illusion that it's for the public good and they know what to do. These smart people there know what to do ahead of other people, and I get the concept that it sounds very valid, but I think it's proven that it hasn't. It says it prevents crashes, but there were crashes in this last decade that they respond to, but they don't really have control over, and they're not on a massive scale preventing or making it happening less, and that creates lower standard of living, and it promotes all the problems that were the problems, so-called problems that go on in this world that you see on the news. And to bring it back to the news also, you wouldn't see a lot of this stuff on the news if you had the 12 Visions Party removing force from a lot of these things. And I can trace it back, we won't go into it now, but every one of them you can trace back to just removing the force, and then it would free up some things to change the reality that everybody's living in.
Thank you, Sage. Bob, where's the force?
Yeah, I was going to add to that with the Feds. Matter of fact, that they're looking right now to start to raise the interest rates, which is a shame. You know, they shouldn't have that kind of power. The should be on the gold standard as we were before, and basically the interest fluctuates with supply and demand. You know, when you got a high demand for money, the interest rate's going to go up. When you got a low demand for money, the interest rates will go down. And I think that's the way it should be. Should fluctuate with the market. And, the government shouldn't be saying that the banks or a private individual even lending money. You know, that's up to the individuals involved with the borrowing and lending of the money. You know, they negotiate what they feel is works for them, and they come to an agreement, and that's the way it should be done. It shouldn't be done with somebody setting the rule that this is what you have to do.
Thank you, Bob. For me, the main part of the force is controlling money. To me, money should be nothing more than a medium of exchange agreed upon by people participating in a market.
Right.
All it should be is a convenient way to exchange goods and services, not something that's controlled and manipulated and in all the ways that it is in the world today. And, you know, I mean, all money should do is to make it easier to exchange, you know, to get a service from someone without having to produce something or another service, or, you know, so that we don't have barter, because barter is difficult. Because that if we have a medium of exchange that we all agreed on that has a certain value, then we can use that medium of exchange to easily exchange goods and services. Whereas, how do you compare mowing someone's lawn to a cow, for instance? A cow, which is, you know, something that someone could buy or sell, or just meat, you know, food. How can you equate them unless you have a medium of exchange that makes it easier? I mean, it's been done in the past, and that's all money should be. Unfortunately, people see a way to basically enrich themselves by controlling money and then forcing other people to, you know, to enrich them instead of everyone just having a way to exchange goods and services. Okay, anyone else have any comments on that topic? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next section.
I just want to bring up Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an example of that. It's a creation from individuals that I don't know too much about it, but my understanding of it is that it's a currency created by individuals, and it can be used and bartered. And yeah, it didn't survive so thoroughly, but you could have that same concept with a business that's trying to keep the integrity of the money so that enough people agree to use it in the free market without force. And that's how you could see that happening in the 12 Visions world.
Yeah, and also the other problem with the money we have today in the United States and in a lot of other places in the world that money's done pretty much the same way is that when the money's controlled and doesn't have its own intrinsic value, it tends to lose value over time.
Right.
And we've seen that with the dollar. Every year your dollar buys less and less. And it's because the money's controlled, because it's not, and it has no intrinsic value, other than it's a piece of special paper made from cloth,
yeah.
You know, and with special inks, and then you know, but it doesn't have intrinsic value. A dollar bill isn't worth what a dollar buys, although they're getting closer and closer every year. It's just not worth it. And definitely a $20 bill, basically a $20 bill, because it's the same size, has the same materials, same inks, it intrinsically is worth the same as a $1 bill. The only difference is the value that we assign to it. You know, whereas if you had precious or semi-precious metal coins instead of this paper, then you would have something that has intrinsic value of its own, and then we won't have to agree on how much, how much $20 is or how much $50 is. It would be evident, it would be right there in the value of what is being used as money.
Right. And 12 Visions World also would drop the costs so much from free competition and free marketplace. So money, a lot would go further, and I think we'd have a lot less. It's awesome. The allocation of resources would be so much more efficient, and people's money issues would be becoming less because of it. Logically, looking at the theory of it, and that would affect the you have these precious metals, you need less of them and less of them and less of them. So it becomes more a world focused on value only, not even just currencies so much.
And just one other thing, when someone has when there's control of the money, the people that control the money become jealous of that control. So that if you have anyone trying to compete, for instance, not too long ago, someone tried to introduce something called the Liberty Dollar, which was basically a silver round that, and if once, at first the government ignored them and, said, oh yeah, it's not a counterfeit coin, it's fine, don't worry, but when they got too big, then they shut them down.
Mm.
And not only did they shut them down, they confiscated all of their silver and gold, because they were producing gold coins too.
That's incredible. Was that on the news?
It was then, but it's been a while. It was like 10 years ago when they shut them down. And the person who started this organization has been in prison since, and eventually they're going to get, because after saying this isn't counterfeit, then they charged him with counterfeit.
I don't know the details.
Counterfeiting money, but but that's the case when someone controls money, and they don't like other people competing with them. So anyone else tries to introduce competing money, they shut them down, and that's what happened in that case.
What happened with the Bitcoin, Sage? I don't recall anything. I know I looked into it back a while ago, and the big problem was the government and the elite class wanted to shut it down because they had no control over it.
Right.
Right.
That's I don't know the details on it. All I know is that it was getting some resistance, and it didn't seem to take off as fast after it got the resistance. That's all I know.
And people were claiming that it wasn't secure. It was easy for people to hack it and steal it from you. And whether or not that was true, that may have been people trying to discredit it.
Right.
I don't know. But that there were I don't know all the details, but those are the few details that I remember from.
Yeah, the last I know about it, the last I saw it, the Bitcoin was doing very well. It was somewhere up in the vicinity of $1,200 a coin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So now,
I don't know if it's still up there.
just briefly on the Liberty Dollar now, basically they're collectibles because there are very few left because the government confiscated the majority of them.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was involved in that, and because of that I have a couple, but not enough for it to be, something very valuable. And, I don't intend to try to use them as money. To me, they're just silver rounds, so there's no reason for somebody to come after me and try to take them, confiscate them, because there's not any value there. It's just maybe at most a couple $100 worth of silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I don't have a warehouse full of coins worth thousands or millions of dollars, just a few $100s. I just want everyone to know that, so somebody doesn't come after me for my few pieces of silver. And I'm just keeping them now as a collectible, and I have them for no other reason. I don't consider them money because basically the government has outlawed them. So.
Well, I'll mow your lawn. I'll mow your lawn 5 times, Bill.
Right. Okay, thank you everyone, and we'll move on to the next section, which is creating the 12 Visions world, and we'll continue our discussion of the 12 Visions Party national platform. And we're going to pick up in the section of the split run titled Estate Planning, and this time I'll go ahead and read. So here we go. Estate planning. Hamilton, America has no estate tax. Hamilton, America has no need.
We read
Now
this.
does this sound familiar? Did we do this last summer? I think we did.
We did. Wealth supply.
Yeah. Did we do wealth money supply also?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, we did.
Okay, we'll move on to retirement. Thank you very much. I misremembered and didn't double check it. I'll go ahead and read both the section for retirement and for jobs, and then we can discuss them. Okay. The new era of the great technological revolution in Hamilton, America multiplies buying power manyfold, making its citizens wealthy. Soaring buying power makes retired seniors for the first time wealthier than when they were working and earning. No country has ever experienced such a phenomenon in which the retired seniors live with a higher standard of living than their working years. Indeed, the Hamilton American standard of living increases at a rapid rate as super rapidly advancing new technologies drive up values while driving down prices. America, on the other hand, falls into a catastrophic era. As retirement funds and pension plans fall apart, Social Security and Medicare do too. Poverty strikes the elderly first as the financial crisis worsens. Jobs. The job market booms in Hamilton, America. Not only are there lots of available jobs in Hamilton, America, but the quality of jobs keeps going up. Why? The great technological revolution. The quality of jobs climb from physical labor to mental creative jobs. How? Consider that unemployment is almost non-existent in the booming business, investment, research, manufacturing center of the world. In fact, there are not enough people to fill all the jobs in such a rapidly booming Hamilton, America. Indeed, this is when the power and beauty of the great technological revolution shines through. As Hamilton, America booms and not enough people can fill the rapidly growing job market, the great technological revolution advances technologies, including computers and robotics, to take over jobs of labor and push the people upward into the superior jobs of the mind. In order to get enough people to fill, the explosion of new jobs creates a strong demand for new technologies to fill the lower tier jobs of labor. Those natural economic pressures, like a rising tide, lift ordinary people to better, more enriching jobs of the mind. Back in America, by contrast, more and more citizens not only hang on to their lowly jobs of labor for dear life as the economy crashes, but those who do lose their jobs seek the lowest labor jobs just to survive. And we already see that today, but I wanted to say the reason I wanted to read those two sections together is because I think that once we get into the 12 Visions world, that with both improving healthcare and health, and with improving jobs, moving into jobs of the mind, fewer and fewer people are actually going to retire because jobs of the mind aren't as physically demanding as physical labor jobs are today. And when we reach a point where anyone can be creative and earn a living, prosper from being creative, you won't have to think about retiring. You can continue to do what you love to do. You continue to be the person you were meant to be and continue to live the life you were meant to live.
Bill, your mic was going in and out.
Oh, well.
We got it.
Hopefully you got the gist of what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yeah. I've been experiencing
go
this.
ahead.
Yeah, no, I've been experiencing this, as Larry and Bob and I are working in INUS Integrations, our own company, and working with you, Bill. It's been exhilarating creating products and testing the marketplace and trying to do what we all love to do individually. And I can see, as obviously, it's like when you're a kid. You can keep doing that forever. Why stop? If you had enough fuel and you had enough fuel in the tank, meaning food and rest and physical mobility enough to function, I can be doing this forever and getting better at it and just being turned on and stimulated doing it. And I know the 12 Visions World Without Force, the technologies that are advancing would push us, like it says, in more mind jobs that are just piecing together things in reality so that you come up with new products and new services. And a big field of that is medical technology and just feeling better so that we're definitely not hurting and are definitely able to physically function so that we can do this more and more. And you look at that formula and where does that go? The sky's the limit. You're looking at once your physical needs are taken care of and you're mentally turned on and stimulated and pushing that to the utmost limits, where does that go? It's exciting. We'll see.
Yeah, the one of the most disabled persons that I'm aware of personally is also considered to be the most brilliant person in the world, and that's Stephen Hawking, who
Right.
who can barely move
Sure.
and cannot really speak at this point in time, but still is able to communicate with the world and is still able to use his mind to create new ideas in science all the time.
Yeah, because you're feeding the mind can live forever.
Yeah.
The retirement, and looking at that in Hamilton, America, and then looking at what we have now, and creating that new world. The sad thing is people now who are in a rut of a job, and after they've done that, leave that job and their whole life expires, which is very sad because their life almost come to an end, and the money that they've paid into enormous amount of money, they never really reap that benefit. But in Hamilton, America, and that's the world we're talking about creating, you would get full retirement given to you. Like right now, if you pay into Social Security, it's like a sliding scale where you can only get a certain amount. But a lot of people are not getting that money because when they retire, their life shortly ends because they are not. A lot of people are confused. They don't have another passion. They're not living a passion. So now they're just waiting to just wither away.
Mm-hmm.
The wealth that they should get, which Hamilton America talk about, paying seniors in full, making them wealthy. Give them all their money. That's their money. Why can't you get all your money? No, you can't. And the only other thing is, if they say if you live to be 66 years old, okay, then you can go out and you don't have to pay. You can make as much money as you want. Okay. But then the point is you get there and you ain't going to give it all to you. That's working for. Okay. So now that means if you've been doing a job of labor and you physically can't do that no more, then you have to find something else to do to order to make that money. And people are living longer and people are working longer. But the difference is, as was brought up earlier, the jobs of the mind will take over that. In Hamilton, America, that would be the way, to be a part of a company where you can, like, build a dynasty, as Sage talked about what we're talking about doing. Build that dynasty where you have you know, you have that money that you're coming in. But right now, it's so dangerous being in business. If you get a lot of money, first thing is you got to pay a big tax on it. You know, they're gonna take it from you because you should not have that much money, even though you might have created a product that will give you something that the world wanted and been waiting for, and you create it and you make all this money, and it's like, no, you should not have all that money because you don't deserve it, and that's wrong.
Would you give your money if it was Social Security voluntary without force? Would you give your money to that program of the government, how it's paying out in the future? And I haven't gotten Social Security, but everybody I know of is not living an exhilarating, wealthy life. Once they hit Social Security, it's almost like they're resigning to, well, I'll make less and do more with less for my retirement years.
Well, what they're doing now, they're pushing it back though. Like I think it's now they want to make it where you work before you can collect to be 70. Even though right now I'm at the age where I can collect it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll probably apply for it. But the point is, you are pushed back. The requirements are being pushed back to hopefully you don't live that long.
Yeah.
To collect that money. But we're saying no, all that money should be given to you when you retire in one lump sum.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the problem with Social Security is that it's not really a retirement insurance system. It never was, and the problem is everyone who's working now is paying retirement benefits to people who are retired. That's the way it works right now. They take the money from you and they give it to the people who are retired. And the problem with that is the way the country is going, the workforce is shrinking, and the group of retirement people is growing. That's the way it's going. People are living longer, and they're collecting Social Security longer, and therefore there are more people who are collecting Social Security for longer, but there aren't more workers to cover the increase.
The thing is, it shouldn't have to be that way. And
yeah, it should have never been that way. From the beginning, it should have been.
We left the Social Security funds alone and let them just mature and gain interest, there'd be more money in Social Security than we could even think about spending at this point in time.
But to think about all the money that people have passed on that never got to collect it, even.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why there would be more money than we could ever spend. Some people that haven't received it.
But as I said, the problem is the money we're putting in, they're not holding for us. They're giving it to the people who are retired now.
Yes.
And that's the problem. That is the wrong. That doing it that way makes it vulnerable to, and that's why they keep saying Social Security is going to run out, because there's not going to be enough workers to cover all the people who are retired. And, the right way to have done Social Security would have been to set up a annuity account for each person. And when they collected the money, put the money in that annuity account, and then when you retire, the money's paid out from that annuity account, not from the money they're taking from me right now.
But you know what? The big move has been to almost make it where you gamble with the money, because now they have these 401ks, which is meaning that people who are not paying into it, that now your investment money, or your retirement money, I should say, that is now going, before you would get a lump sum when you retired on a monthly basis, and you knew based on working 30 years you got this amount of money. But now what they're looking to do is take that money and move it into the market, where where you pay into a 401k, and then you knew before that, oh, okay, I'm gonna get this amount every month based on me doing 25 to 30 years at a job. But now that's changing, because you might be, your money being dumped into the stock market, okay, through a 401k. So when you get to retire, you might be up or you might be down, or you might lose all your money. And you say, well, I worked 30 years, I got nothing.
And it's even worse with pensions that are administered by the company. By the time you retire, that company could go out of business, and
Right.
that pension will be gone.
Yes. Yes, that's right. And that has happened to a lot of people where they've worked all 11 years and have nothing. You know.
That's why I think as self-responsibility comes up, and without force, self-responsibility has to take control, where people do take. It's sad, the pensions run out, but ultimately it's your money as long as you're not forced to allocate it anywhere. The 401ks are optional, and it's up to people to find businesses and services, and the more I believe the more people do that, the more competitive the businesses come with the dynamic of people taking individual self-responsibility, the better it gets, and you're going to have more sound money and more sound options for all the people that are working and investing their money. It'll go into a place that's actually, accumulating wealth, and we're doing it ourselves. We're making INIS grow, and we're learning the fundamentals of business so that we actually grow a profit. So our future is secure, and we're providing value. It's a win-win situation, and it's really what makes the world a better place. If people always tout that as the reason why they do things, but in reality,
my personal solution is I don't intend to retire. I intend to slowly grow my business, and when it reaches a point where it's sustained, where I can live from the proceeds from my business, I'm going to stop working and put all of my effort into the business. And in the meantime, I'm going to continue to do what I can to help create the new world where I won't have to struggle. I won't have to struggle to prosper.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be big changes in the next 10 years, and those changes could either be for the better or for the much worse. And that's why I'm doing this show. That's why I know you guys are doing this show, because we want those changes to be for the better for everyone and not for the worse.
Yeah, it's exciting, and once you get that understanding and you look at the logic, it's all there, and it inspires you to do, to live the life of your dreams and help others do it, make it happen.
So thank you, everyone. It's been a really good show. Lots of great discussion. Now I want to talk about how anyone who sees this show, if they want to get involved, how they can get involved in creating the world. And basically, the best way to get involved is to find the 12 Visions Party in your state or your country. And if it doesn't exist, create it. And then start working together toward creating the world. That's the more people that want this world, the more likely it is to be created. The more likely that things are going to change in a way that make it better for everyone. I mean, we may not get the exact world that we're talking about now, but if we all work together, we can definitely have something that's better than where we are now. I firmly believe that, and that's what I think, and that's what I want to do. So you can help out just by talking to other people about this. You can help out by contacting your local 12 Visions Party and saying, is there any way I can help, either by volunteering, by just saying, if you put up 12 Visions Party candidates, I'll vote for them, or by donating, by contributing money, or by becoming directly involved and helping to plan how we're going to create this new world. You can also help us with this show. If you have ideas or suggestions about how we can improve this show, send us an email at cnwshow@gmail.com. That's cnwshow@gmail.com. And you can also help us directly by, if you think what we're doing here is valuable, you can give us value by going to patreon.com/creating a new world and basically pledge to pay however much you want per episode, anywhere from $1 up to as much as you want, as much as you want to contribute toward doing this show. That would help us out a great deal. That would help us maintain the equipment we use to make the show, help us to promote the show, and I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're interested in getting involved with the 12 Visions Party, then you can go to the main national website at tvpnc.org. That's tvpnc.org. And there's a place there where you can sign up, and they will get you in touch with your state, or with your state 12 Visions Party, or with the 12 Visions Party in your country if you live outside of the United States. But like I said, the main thing is if you want the new world we're talking about creating, talk to other people about it. That's the easiest and simplest things you can do, or tell them about the show so they can come and see us talk about the new world. And that's basically everything I have. Anyone have anything else on that?
Just build that website that's underneath your name, just to go over.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
Sure.
If you want to view the previous episodes, and I definitely recommend it. In fact, I recommend starting with the first episode and watching them in order, because we cover the information in a sequential way. Now we're at the point where we're basically talking about separate topics, but at the beginning we explain what the 12 Visions world is, and that is a blog with links to all the videos, and that blog is to createanewworld.blogspot.com. You can also go to our channel on YouTube, which is Creating a New World. Just go to YouTube and search for Creating a New World, and you can subscribe to our channel, and you can view each episode that way if you prefer. Okay, anything else, gentlemen?
That's it, guys.
Yep. I want to thank everyone for coming on the show today. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Sage.
It's been a pleasure to be here, guys.
Yep.
Thanks.
And I want to wish everyone wealth, health, peace, love, and prosperity. And thank you for watching this show.